Right, we are on the record for hearings in the matters listed in the North Dakota Industrial Commission hearing docket for Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022. I'm Stephen Nelson, hearing examiner for these hearings. We're at the hearing room for the Department of Mineral Resources, Oil and Gas Division, and it is 9 a.m. On the docket, the following matters will be continued or dismissed. Case number 29403 will be continued to July. 29404 will be continued to July. Case number 29405 will be continued to July. Case number 29406 will be continued to July. Case number 29344 will be continued to July. Case number 29345 will be continued to July. Case number 29230 will be continued to July. Case number 29337 will be dismissed. Case number 29338 will be dismissed. And case number 29046 will be continued to July. The administrative docket starts on page 3 with case number 29407 and goes through case number 29424. These cases will be heard in the next room with Michael Zisch. Audio recordings of the cases on the administrative docket will be placed on the oil and gas website by the end of the week. If you wish to appear in one of the matters on the administrative docket, please appear in the next room. If there is opposition to the matter, it will be brought back into this hearing room to be heard, and your statements and evidence will be taken. We will begin with case number 29403, application of Empire North Dakota LLC for an order establishing 4 160-acre drilling units consisting of the northeast quarter, northwest quarter, southeast quarter, and the southwest quarter of Section 17, Township 161 North, Range 78 West, Bottineau County, ND, and allowing a vertical well to be completed in the Spearfish Formation at any location not closer than 500 feet to the boundary of each such unit, and for such other relief as may be appropriate. This case is continued to July. Case number 29404, application of Empire North Dakota LLC for an order establishing 1 160-acre drilling unit consisting of the southeast quarter of Section 19, Township 161 North, Range 78 West, Bottineau County, ND, and allowing a vertical well to be completed in the Spearfish Formation at any location not closer than 500 feet to the boundary of such unit, and for such other relief as may be appropriate. This case is continued to July. Case number 29405, application of Oventive Production, Inc. for an order amending the applicable orders for the Sand Creek Bakken Pool to establish an overlapping 3840-acre spacing unit described as sections 15, 16, 21, 22, 27, and 28, Township 153 North, Range 96 West, McKenzie County, ND, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case is continued to July. Case number 29406, application of Oventive Production, Inc. for an order amending the applicable orders for the Sand Creek Bakken Pool to establish a stand-up 1920-acre spacing unit described as sections 16, 21, and 28, Township 153 North, Range 96 West, McKenzie County, ND, and authorize 9 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case is continued to July. Case number 29344, application of Oventive Production, Inc. for an order amending the applicable orders for the Grinnell Bakken, Sand Creek Bakken, and or Keene Bakken Three Forks pools to establish an overlapping 3840-acre spacing unit described as sections 2, 3, 10, 11, 14, and 15, Township 153 North, Range 96 West, McKenzie County, North Dakota, and authorize 2 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and for such other relief as may be appropriate. This case is continued to July. Case number 29345, application of Oventive Production, Inc. for an order amending the applicable orders for the Sand Creek Bakken Pool to establish a stand-up 1920-acre spacing unit described as sections 3, 10, and 15, Township 153 North, Range 96 West, McKenzie County, ND, and authorize 7 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case is continued to July. Case number 29346, application of Oventive Production, Inc. for an order amending the applicable orders for the Lost Bridge and or Bear Creek Bakken pools to establish a 1920-acre spacing unit described as sections 10, 15, and 22, Township 148 North, Range 96 West, Dunn County, ND, and authorize 6 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. Will all interested parties please come forward?
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Oventive Production, Inc. I have 3 witnesses testifying telephonically in this case: Dallas Martin, Land, George Jennings, Geology, and Daniel Smith, Engineering. And they should be on the line now.
All right. Dallas Martin, can you hear me?
Oh,
Oh, we will take a quick 5-minute break here and
all right.
come back.
Dallas, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. We got to pause for a minute. There's some construction going on. I got to go move my truck. So we'll be right back.
Okay.
Right, and we are back on the record in case number 29346, and we were going to move on to your first witness. Correct, Mr. Mann?
Yes, Dallas Martin.
All right, Mr. Martin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Dallas, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, and what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, my name is Dallas Martin. I am employed by Oventive USA, Inc. As a senior land negotiator, and my address is 4 Waterway Square Place, The Woodlands, Texas, 77380.
And Dallas, have you previously testified before this commission?
I have not.
Why don't we briefly go through your educational background and work experience?
Okay, I have a bachelor's degree from Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Graduated in the spring of 2004, and I have spent the last nearly 15 years in the oil and gas industry, starting in early 2008 as a landman with Apache Corporation, and I've spent the last 5 years with Oventive, formerly Newfield, as a landman in-house.
Okay. And Dallas, are you familiar with the land matters related to the proposed 1,920-acre spacing unit we're talking about today?
Yes, sir.
And have you put together some land-related exhibits for the hearing?
I have.
I'd move the testimony of Mr. Martin be received as that of an expert in this case.
The testimony will be received as that of an expert.
And Dallas, let's go ahead and start with Exhibit L1, if you can just identify the area that we're looking at.
Yes, this is a regional map of of the area. We call it our Lost Bear area, but specifically we want to draw your attention to the Lost Bridge and Bear Creek Bakken pools. They're kind of in the center of the map.
Sure. Let's move on then to L2, if you can identify the proposed spacing unit that we're talking about.
Yes, this is sections 10, 15, and 22 of Township 148 North, Range 96 West in McKenzie County, North Dakota.
Okay. And then moving on to L3, can you take us through Oventive's working interest in the proposed spacing unit?
Yes, so Oventive owns interest in all three sections, and cumulative to the 1920, our interest would be just over 46%, with XTO and Burlington, we believe, to own kind of the larger, non-majority share, with multiple other parties owning just under 14%.
Sure. I have no further questions for Mr. Martin, and I would offer the land exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Are there any questions from commission staff?
Dallas, this is Bruce Hicks. On Exhibit L3, you're indicating that it's an existing 1920. Is that existing, or are you just requesting it now?
I'm sorry, that's an error. That should have been proposed in 1920. My apologies.
Okay. And typically, we would require, in an overlapping spacing unit that you're requesting here, we would want the working interest breakdown in the base units. So if you could supplement an exhibit showing the working interest ownership in 10 and 15, that's a 1280 unit. And then also for the 640 consisting of section 22.
Okay, I can do that.
And you do have less than 50% interest in the proposed 1920. Have you been in contact with XTO in Burlington and others on the operatorship?
I have not touched base with Burlington, but I have reached out to XTO. We had filed multiple similar spacings throughout the region. I think we had filed 3 or 4 of these. We had talked to them and actually continued some of those cases to have further discussions with them. This one was not included in that request to continue. I reached out again, tried to talk a little bit more about it, and didn't get any negative feedback. So we decided to, go ahead with the hearing.
Who's the operator of the wells in section 10 and 15, that 1280?
Oventive.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? All right, moving on. Mr. Jennings, are you on the line?
I am.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
George, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sure. My name is George Jennings. I'm employed by Oventive USA Incorporated, and I work at 4 Waterway Square Place in the Woodlands, Texas, 77380.
And George, have you previously testified before this commission?
I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
I have.
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed 1,920-acre spacing unit?
I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony, Mr. Jennings, be received as that of an expert in this case.
The testimony will be received as that of an expert.
And George, let's start with G1, if you can describe the Upper Bakken structure.
Sure. This is a look at the Upper Bakken structure. In the area, you'll notice the proposed sections are highlighted in a red box with a orange star on the left side indicating the type log that we'll be showing on the next exhibit. And on the left-hand side, or on the west side of the unit, the structure goes from about negative 8560 TBD sub C to on the eastern side being about negative 8510 TBD sub C.
Okay. Let's move on to G2. Can you take us through the pipe log?
Sure. I'll just draw your attention to the different tracks that we have here. On the left-hand side, we have Gamma, which is colored in yellow and gray. And then in the center, we have a depth track. And then on the right side, we have a resistivity track and then a porosity track, the typical logs that we look at. And you'll see that we have the Upper Bakken shale called out, the Middle Bakken, the Lower Bakken, the Upper Three Forks, and the Middle Three Forks all called out. We are currently planning on developing this unit with Middle Bakken as well as Upper Three Forks wells.
Okay.
This is, I should note, this is also the Jorgensen 1-15H pilot hole.
Sure.
Is where these logs come from.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Jennings. That offer the geology exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Are there any questions from commission staff? Seeing none, we'll move on. Mr. Smith, are you on the line?
Yes, go ahead.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Daniel, can I have you state your name, by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, my name is Daniel Smith. I'm employed by Oventive Incorporated. I am a reservoir engineer for the Bakken team, and my place of work is at 4 Waterway Place, The Woodlands, Texas, 77380.
Daniel, have you previously testified before this commission?
I have not.
Okay, let's go ahead and take us through your educational background and work experience.
Okay. I'll start with my educational background. I graduated in 2004 from Oklahoma State University with a degree in mechanical engineering. Went to work offshore right after that, and I've been working in different capacities, both in operations and in reservoir engineering roles for various employers in the oil and gas industry continuously since 2004. In 2013, I did graduate from Oklahoma State with a master's degree in business.
Okay. And Daniel, are you familiar with engineering-related matters associated with this proposed 1,920-acre spacing unit?
Yes, sir.
And have you prepared some exhibits for this hearing as well?
Yes, we have.
Okay. I'd move the testimony of Mr. Smith be received as that of an expert in this case.
The testimony will be received as that of an expert.
And Daniel, let's start with E1. If you can kind of walk us through what your proposed development plan for this 1920 would look like.
Okay. We're planning, as previously stated before, we're planning on developing both the Middle Bakken and the Upper Three Forks with the addition of 6 wells in section, 3 in the Middle Bakken and 3 in the Three Forks.
Okay. And let's move on to E2. Can you describe how you would intend to drill and complete Middle Bakken wells?
So the plan right now would be to obviously set your surface casing and then an intermediate casing down to approximately 6,000, just over 6,000 feet, and then drill out the remaining footage, both vertical and lateral, casing that with a single 5.5 production casing to TD, and then we would come in and do a plug and perk completion on these wells at intervals of approximately 200-foot stages.
Okay. And then E3, again, can you just describe how you intend to drill and complete the proposed Three Forks wells?
Yep. In exactly the same way, just a different depth target for the lateral.
Okay. And moving on to E4, can you summarize the reservoir data and economics for the Middle Bakken and Middle Bakken wells?
Yeah, so the Middle Bakken wells, we would expect to slightly exceed the performance of the Three Forks, coming in at just shy of 2,000 barrels a day and costing around $8 million to drill and complete, with a return on investment of approximately 3x.
And then moving on to E5, what does it look like for the Three Forks, the reservoir data and the economics?
It's a very similar economic on this well. We would expect the performance on this well to come in around 1,800 barrels a day of oil, and again, cost around $8 million for your initial investment, with a return on investment of just over 3 to 1. And that's assuming $55 oil and $2.50 gas. So in today's environment, we would expect the economics to be even much improved from those stated economics.
Sure. So then, Daniel, in your opinion, if the this spacing would be granted and you develop, as you've indicated, would that prevent waste, prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells, and protect relative rights?
Absolutely.
I have no further questions for Mr. Smith. I'd offer the engineering exhibits, I guess including E6, the gas capture plan affidavit.
The exhibits are admitted. Are there any questions from Commission staff?
Daniel, I'm looking at your Exhibit E1.
Yes, sir.
The exhibit is labeled that there's 6 Middle Bakken and 6 Three Forks. You said that there were 3 and 3. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the additional wells that I was speaking to.
What are the targets of your existing wells that are going to be offsetting for the parent wells? Looking at your farthest west and the Middle Bakken, is the well that's offsetting very close to a Three Forks well? And is it alternating?
So what we have is in section. So if we're looking at just the Middle Bakken section, there's spacing between the wells, so that these would be an infill well coming in between 2 existing wells, and the spacing between the new proposed well and the existing wells is approximately 650 feet either direction. So from an east-west, it would be about 650 feet east and 650 feet west from that existing well. And the same would apply for the Three Forks wells.
650 feet offsetting equal formation targets, is that correct?
Yes, which would mean that the wells from Middle Bakken to Three Forks would be approximately 325 feet from the existing wells. The spacing doesn't come out exactly perfect just because of the existing spacing and how we have to move between those, but that's about what you get on the average.
So you're planning on continuing to produce the parent wells?
That's correct. Yep.
And have you been in contact with XTO about overlapping their existing Middle Bakken well on 22?
I have not. No, we have not yet.
Will you be drilling and completing all of these at the same time?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Daniel, can you supplement with another copy of E1? It's pretty hard to read most of the labels on that. If you want to just submit a PDF so we can scroll through it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thanks.
Daniel, this is Bruce Hicks. The way that you describe the infill wells, it doesn't appear to me anyway that you've got them located correctly. You said that the infill wells will be drilled approximately halfway in between the existing wells, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
In that particular fact.
And, you know, if you just look at this, section 10 and 15, we've got what appears to be diagonal 640s that have been drilled. Are those going to continue to produce?
The well in section 10 is currently shut in. The wells in section 15 and 22 are currently producing, and we would do the directional work to avoid intercepting those wells on the drilling side, and would expect that those wells would continue to produce. Yes, sir.
Okay, and is it your intention to start producing the one in section 10 then?
That would be, I need to touch base with our production department, but yes, that would be an expectation.
And then you've got north-south wells drilled in 10 and 15, and it would appear that it's maybe fully developed with that. Now you're going to be overlapping with additional wells in between those. Can you tell us what your thought is on what those wells are draining and what you intend to drain with the additional wells?
Absolutely. So what we've seen in the past, and we have done some recent work in other areas in the basin to do what we call these infill wells. And these original wells were completed, I believe it was in 2000, and if you give me just a second here, I'll pull it up. They were completed in 2016/2017 with relatively small completions, averaging around proppant between 5 to 800 pounds of proppant and 400 to 500 gallons of fluid was the completion style. They were open hole, sliding sleeve with packers. And so what we found is that the completion efficiency is fairly low on these wells. And when we go back in and we thread these wells, not only do we see that the new parent wells come on, the new child wells come on with very high rates, close to 2,000 barrels a day, but we also tend to see an uptick in the performance of the parent wells in that section as well.
Have you picked your surface locations yet?
To my knowledge, we do not have surface locations identified yet.
Are you going to be able to utilize any of the existing pads, or do you believe that there'll probably be new ones?
I would be speculating if I spoke to that at this point. If possible, we do try to reutilize, re-access existing locations. It just would depend on the logistics.
On your exhibit E2, you're indicating that you're going to set 9 5/8 down to 6,063 feet. Is that into the SWIFT?
George, I'll call on you for that. Hold on just a second, Sarah. It's George here.
I assume it's your intention to completely isolate the Dakota, is that right?
Yes, the intention is to completely isolate the Dakota and cover up that injection interval. We will be taking great pains to make sure that interval is cased off before we continue on to avoid any issues with that. And I believe nine. I can't remember. I believe that. I believe this is actually even setting. We'll be setting. I believe either in the Swift or in the Reardon. I can't remember. We've got a couple of different. But yeah, we will be casing off that.
Okay, and are you seeing high pressures in the Dakota, or is this just in anticipation that you may in the future see it?
So we haven't drilled in this particular area in a while, and so I'm not sure what pressures we'll be seeing here, but regardless, we like to be safe and make sure that is cased off. We've switched over to kind of a monobore design where we case off the injection and then continue on with oil-based mud past that point to TD, and then we run our casing after that. We have seen high injection pressures in other areas, though.
And you're planning on running or drilling a monobore, so you've got 5.5 inch set all the way to TD and cemented back. If this were to be an off-site surface location, there's a chance that we may require you to tractor in a radio bond log to make sure that you're isolated at the 150-foot setback. Does Oventive have any issues with that?
Seen that.
I don't know that we can affirmatively answer that question at
Good.
this point. I think probably no, but I'm probably speaking out of turn there.
You said probably no? No issues? Is that right?
Yeah, I believe I think that's what you asked, if Oventive would have issues with that. But again, I'm probably speaking out of turn there, so I like Daniel said earlier, I can't really speculate on that right now.
Okay. Well, you may want to touch base with us if you do plan, or even, planning this, it would be good to touch base to make sure you're aware of what's going to have to be run.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
plus-
I would want to do a quick dive into our cement program at Top of Cement, just to confirm that getting through that setback and looking at the directional plan, and getting a high probability of getting cement lifted and covering that setback would not be a concern. That would be the due diligence I would want to do before I could adequately answer that question.
do you plan to refract the parent wells?
No, sir. What we found is the best refrac we can put on those, as far as efficiency and cost and production uplift, is to come in and thread with these parent well, these infill wells, and by default they get hit with a new frac.
Okay. And Dallas, I want to touch base with you again on the XTO contact. You indicated that you decided to just move forward on this. Does XTO understand what your application is, that you want to drill across your 1280 and in the same zones and then access section 22?
I believe so, just simply based on the fact that with some of the other applications that we made, at the same time we made this application, there was a little bit different set of circumstances with those applications, which is why they asked us to have deeper conversations with that. So with this one, this was not one that they requested we continue. And like I said, again, I tried to reach out again, but was unsuccessful in that, left messages and just did not get to have that conversation. But that was kind of the thinking that we had was, if this one was problematic for them like the other ones potentially were, then it would have been requested that we continue this as well, and it was not.
Wade, I would like to get some type of follow-up from XTO. Do you have any suggestion on how we would move forward and get some contact with them?
Yeah, I mean, if I may ask Dallas a question first. Dallas, it's my understanding that you may be having some upcoming discussion with XTO, or you will be communicating with them. Is that correct?
That's right. We have a meeting set with them tomorrow,
Okay.
to go over the other cases that we continued.
And-
So we can absolutely. We will be talking about this one as well. So
Sure. And I guess, Bruce, to answer your question, I mean, if it's okay with the commission, if we, subsequent to that conversation between Oventive and XTO, if we could submit either an email or a letter from somebody, representative of XTO, indicating that they are not opposed to the proposed development and spacing that we're seeking in this case, would that be sufficient?
I think that'd be very good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Are any further questions from commission staff? Seeing none, I see that, we have a few supplements that have been requested. What kind of timeline are we looking at there, Mr. Mann?
Yeah, let's see. So Dallas, on your end, how long do you think it'll take to put together the working interest breakdown where we're looking at the 10 and 15 working interest breakdown and the section 22? Is a week enough time for that, or do you need more time?
No, that should be plenty.
Okay. And then I think the other one, Daniel, I think we're just looking for, I believe, just a PDF of E1. Is that correct, Jared? Yeah, just so you can see this labels. Yeah, so I'm assuming you can get that put together in a week?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, if we could have a week, Mr. Examiner.
Right, that will put us at Wednesday, June 29th. So, it will remain open till Wednesday, June 29th for the supplements. With that, was there anything else in this matter to take care of, Mr. Mann?
No, Mr. Examiner, thank you.
All right, that will conclude the hearing for case number 29346. Moving on. Case number 29230, temporary spacing to develop an oil and/or gas pool discovered by the True Oil LLC, number 31-36, Northern State Well, file number 37495, the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 36, Township 148 North, Range 102 West, Mackenzie County, ND, define the field limits and enact such special field rules as may be necessary. This case is continued to July. Case number 29337, application of Oasis Petroleum North America LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Sorkness Bakken Pool to establish two stand-up 1920-acre spacing units described as sections 11, 14, and 23, and sections 12, 13, and 24, Township 157 North, Range 93 West, Montreal County, ND, and authorize 4 horizontal wells to be drilled on each such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case is dismissed. Case number 29338, application of Oasis Petroleum North America LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Sorkness Bakken Pool to establish 2 overlapping 3840-acre spacing units described as sections 10, 11, 14, 15, 22, and 23, and sections 11, 12, 13, 14, 23, and 24, Township 157 North, Range 93 West, Montreal County, ND, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on each such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case is dismissed. Case number 29046, application of Kraken Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Oliver Bakken Pool to establish a stand-up 1920-acre spacing unit described as Section 33, Township 158 North, Range 98 West, and Sections 4 and 9, Township 157 North, Range 98 West, Williams County, ND, and authorize 2 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case is continued to July. And that concludes the hearings for Wednesday, the 22nd.